This is Grunt Squad, brought to you in the studio of Wiley Productions, with Sam Mann and Nate Westlake, bringing you all the spreads, picks, and player props.
And welcome in to the Grunt Squad. I'm your host, Sam Mann, and my co-host, Nate Westlake, across the table from me today. Let's recap Week 4, Episode 3. Let's look at last week's picks. We crushed it again this week. Minnesota -4. Why don't you walk us through that one?
Had another good week. Well, what's going on, everybody? Yeah, Minnesota -4 cashed it for us, even though we're a little worried early on. We were watching that together. I mean, what are you... Kirk Cousins drives all the way down the field, throws a pick six on his 1 yard line, so potentially a 14-point swing. But
do we have a broken TV from that play?
No, I almost broke.
You wanted
the
to break
something.
something.
I said I'll go down to Walmart and buy you a new TV if I have to, but it might get broke today. We had a lot of those type of games Sunday, Sammy. It was crazy. I didn't have a voice left, but yeah, Minnesota ended up getting the win there. Carolina can't move the ball. They averaged 3.1 yards per play, 1.6 yards on the ground. It was abysmal. So got the dub there and had a 4-2 in 1 week. So happy.
Great for your game bets and 12-8 on props, on player props. Let's talk about the Bijan plus 25 yards.
Bijan
Receiving.
is a beast out of the backfield. He's the only option they have. Desmond Ridder can't throw the ball downfield. His over-under for catches was 5. So you look at that, like 5 to 6 was like even money. 7 catches was only like plus 180. And the total was only 25 yards. So that felt like a no-brainer. So we cashed that one rather easily. So happy there. Happy on... What was the other props?
Michael Gallup, you had that plus 2 catches.
Michael Gallup's coming on. Michael Gallup off the ACL injury. I was worried a lot of Dallas fans out there were worried about Michael Gallup to start this year. You know, coming off that injury, he's fine. He looks like he's gotten his legs underneath him. Dak's finding him. He looks like the spry chicken that they drafted there in the second round or third round. I can't remember, out of Colorado State. So that was an easy one. Over 2 catches. The value will be gone there. That'll be up to 4 or 5 catches going forward.
Right.
So happy there.
Talk about Raheem Mostert, ones that you hit and one that you didn't.
Oh, Raheem Mostert. We had him over 51 yards rushing. I thought that'd be an easy one with Buffalo playing they play kind of a dime type defense on every down based off, because their linebackers are undersized. They're built for speed. So we thought that Miami would try to rush the ball, get the running game going. They did. It was just A-Chain that got it going, or A-Chin, or I can't say his name. But
A-Chin.
Oh yeah, but Mostert, we got it over 13 yards receiving. I couldn't believe that line was only 13 yards receiving. That cashed, I think it's third catch or second catch.
Well, I think with Waddle coming back and then the split time that he had with Devon, that kind of makes sense.
It was, we had him over 2 catches too. I just didn't have it up on the thing, so that also cashed. But
apparently when you fumble the ball twice, you don't get to run.
Yeah,
the ball
and I didn't even notice that. You mentioned that earlier. I didn't even see it because in the early window there's 9 games going. You can't watch every moment of every game with 9 games on at once.
I was watching him because he's in 3 of my fantasy lineups.
I know. That's all you talk about every Sunday is Mostert. I like Mostert a lot.
Well, let's talk about some injury news, some stuff that happened this past week. Coming up, going into Week 5, Kyler Murray is not expected to be activated off the PUP. Josh Dobbs has been doing a good job, though, and he's been managing this team. How do you feel about the Cardinals situation at this point?
What else? Jonathan Gannon. I think Jonathan Gannon's the coach of the year so far. I know the media likes to give it to the flashy, coach and the team that's winning the most and whatnot, but who's doing the best job right now so far are Jonathan Gannon and Sean McVay. Those are the 2 best coaches. With what they've had, he's doing a phenomenal job. It's cool to see Dobbs finally get the chance and make the best of it. And it's not just through the air; it's on the ground too. I mean, he's making the right reads. He's on the same page. Him and Jonathan Gannon have a great rapport. It's been fantastic. It's been fun to watch. And nobody expected this start out of the Arizona Cardinals. Nobody expected in Week 5 to see a -3 spread for the. They play the Bengals this week with Joe Burrow playing, and this is a -3 for Cincinnati. This is crazy, absolutely crazy, but good start. It's been fun.
Is. It's a complete free roll for them this year. I mean, it really is.
That's well said, Sam. Free roll. It is a free roll, and they're what are they doing with what's his name, the quarterback that's hurt. Their starter, Kyler Murray. Yeah, like they're letting him sit for a couple more weeks, right?
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they like I said, he hasn't been activated, so they're looking, I guess, to not bring him back so quick. Like I said, Josh Dobbs is getting it done.
Yeah.
And at this point, if you talk to Cardinal fans, it's like, please lose so that we can get the number 1 pick.
Of course, but the problem with that is these college quarterbacks have options now, big time options now. They can stay in college and make $10 million, $12 million next year. And if they don't want to go to a team that they don't think is fit for them or a good organization, because the Cardinals have been one of the worst organizations across the board since, their lone Super Bowl appearance, 10 years ago. So we'll see on that one. We'll see how that goes. But so far, so good.
Right.
Hired the right coach. And like I say all the time, it's a coaching league. It's all about coaches.
True that. Jonathan Taylor, Cooper Kupp, both going to be practicing this week. They're actually expecting Cooper Kupp to actually play Week 5, which is huge. How that's going to impact Puka Nacua. Love saying that name.
Puka Nacua. Everybody does.
So that'll be interesting to see. Obviously, Cooper Kupp's the number 1 option there when he's back, when he's fully healthy. Can't wait to see him come back because that's only going to enhance what the Rams are already doing.
Yeah, if they can stay healthy, if they can get some, guys back on the O-line, even though Sean McVay's done a phenomenal job moving guys around in that O-line. He moved the right tackle. I mean, their left tackle against the Cincinnati last week got hurt, and Cincinnati just teed off on Stafford. So this week, he made some big adjustments. He moved their right tackle over to left tackle, which made all the difference in the world last week against that in the Indianapolis rush, which is their best unit, their pass rush on defense. And they've been fantastic. I can't wait to see Kupp get back in there with Puka and how McVay can scheme up that passing game. And Puka, what I mean, he doesn't look like a rookie. He understands where that Mike linebacker's at. He understands where to sit in those zones. He understands, like a 5-year vet, how to play wide receiver in the National Football League. It's not just about running a route and catching a pass. There's so many little nuances to it. And you got to be, and Sean McVay knew that early on, and him and Stafford have they're
in sync.
They're in sync. And
they are.
Yeah. It's been awesome. He's got the most, I believe he's leading the league. Not just rookies, but he's leading the league in catches and yards. I believe so. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's close.
Yeah, he's looked great.
Been awesome.
Justin Herbert, fractured finger on his non-throwing hand. He's going to be fine.
I think so.
At least I hope.
Oh, it's his non-throwing hand. I mean, I don't know why they kept him in there on that quarterback sneak, going for it on their own 39 against the Raiders. That had me just almost breaking a TV. You were there. That was insane. Chargers should have covered that by a mile. And Chargers coaching, oh my goodness, just frustrating. But I think he'll be fine. It's his non-throwing finger. But I think that's why they didn't get that first down on that quarterback sneak.
Well, with Eckler coming back too, hopefully this week, that's going to help take some of the pressure off. Being able to get the ball off to him should help alleviate that.
Yeah, doesn't have to run as much. I mean, like I said, Mike Williams is gone, so Eckler's going to be, even though Josh Palmer played pretty well last week, I think he had 5 for 77 or something like that. Quentin Williams didn't play a lot, but
which the usage we said even last week that Quentin Johnson.
My bad, I said Quentin Williams, but yeah, Quentin Johnson.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Tomato.
Tomato.
Mike Evans though, hamstring injury, potentially could be out a few weeks. At least they have the bye coming up. So hopefully he can come back healthy.
That's a bummer. That's a
It
bummer.
is.
Because it's like every year. And the hamstring is, because you just never know with a hamstring. It can linger the entire
Get
season.
re-aggravated easily, too.
Easily, especially with a guy that has to open it up like he does. And it feels like every year it's something with him. But every year he seems to get 1,000 yards. And that's if that injury lingers and that injury, gets worse, that's a big time target for a guy like Baker Mayfield. I mean, it wasn't as big of a deal for Tom Brady and someone like that, but for Baker, the catch radius that Mike Evans has, that's a massive, massive deal for them going forward. So let's hope he stays healthy, because they look like the best team in the NFC South right now, which we didn't think we were going to say that before the year started. We're at the quarter part of the season, 4 games in.
I mean, it's wide open. That division's
It's
wide
wide
open.
open, but right now it looks like they're the best team. Don't you agree?
I do, unfortunately. It's a bittersweet thing.
You're a Saints fan. Don't get me started on the Saints and Derek Carr.
We'll talk about that later.
Yep.
But T. Higgins, rib fracture, out for several weeks. This just adds on to the woes of Cincinnati. They've got a couple of games this week to get right that are absolute must-wins for them to even be in the realm of thinking about making the playoffs.
This is a must. We'll talk about this later too. We might have the Bengals on our card this week on the money line. I won't even lay the 3. I would take it on the money line. But this is the meters that this is it. This is it. They have Arizona this week. They have Seattle next week, and then they have the bye week. So if they can win one of these games, Joe can get 100% healthy. I mean, even 80% healthy, 90%. I mean, somewhere around there.
He's been at 80% every season. He's had an injury.
And the O-line's worse, and they've tried to get better up front. They're just getting worse. The defense is worse. Everything is worse. It's not the same. Nothing's working. They're dead last in every single statistical category in passing, with a top 3 quarterback on the planet. So something's not right. They got to get it going. Jamar Chase was livid in the locker room. I don't think I've ever seen a quote like that. He said, "I'm effing open." I wish I could swear, but I am effing open all the time. Did you see that?
Yeah.
He's pissed, and I don't blame him, because he said before the year started, sit Joe Burrow he knew the bye week was after week 6. Sit Joe Burrow. We'll get through this. Get him healthy for the final, 13 games, and I mean, not 13 games, but, down the stretch, and would make a run for it. Just got to get in the playoffs, and you never know what can happen. They've been awesome in the playoffs ever since Burrow's been there, him and Chase. So he was right. They might have shot themselves in the foot by just gutting this out.
We'll see. Only time will tell.
I don't know.
Kenny Pickett left with a knee injury, MCL. It's going to be out. How do we feel about Trubisky at this point?
It's MVP Mitch. MVP Mitch is back, baby. Feel like every year he gets a shot somewhere, except in Buffalo. One year he played in Buffalo. Josh Allen doesn't get hurt. I shouldn't say that. Knock on wood. Josh Allen.
I was going to say,
yeah, right. You can't do that.
Fingers crossed, toes crossed.
But Kenny Pickett I was dead wrong on that one. Same with the Giants. I thought Pittsburgh and the New York Giants would take big leaps this year. They've done the opposite. I don't know if it's Matt Canada. I don't know if it's Kenny Pickett. I think it's a little bit of everything. And, I mean, Mike Tomlin doesn't have this defense flying around either. I mean, if you take Watt out of the game, they're not. They did last week. Houston took Watt out of that game. He didn't do anything really, and Houston moved the ball at will. I mean,
Houston looks good. Stroud's the real deal.
No question about it. No question about that one.
Star in the making. Really believe it.
Potential, yeah, just all of the above. Check box, check them all.
Well, let's talk about some guys that caught our attention this week. Josh Allen against Miami. The real boys are in town of this division. And guess what? It's not the Dolphins.
Yeah, they had to it was cool to see the Bills play with a little chip on their shoulder. They had all the media, everybody talking. Miami's the best team in this division. They're the best team in the AFC, and the Bills are like, whoa. We've won this division ever since Brady left. And the Bills got it right. Josh Allen played point guard, not two guard. He played point guard. He dealt. That was his best game. That might have been his best game of his career, from top to bottom. It's arguable. It might have been it was certainly his best game ever since that terrible loss they had in Kansas City in the playoffs. But that was cool to see. Everything was working, not just on offense. That defense was flying around.
Yeah, the defense was flying.
They were confusing Tua, and what they did the best is no one's gotten pressure up the middle versus Tua, because if Tua can't plant that back foot, Tua can't get anything on the ball, and he's going to make mistakes, and that's what they did. They forced him into a few mistakes, and they didn't let Waddle or Hill get deep on him. They played that cover 4 shell little defense that everyone's sort of trying to, the good defense are copying New England on. So that was a good one. That was a good one for Buffalo. That was fun to watch. That was cool.
Yeah, he and Diggs were in sync. Diggs went off to 6 for 7, 123 touchdowns.
That's awesome.
Out of the 4 that Josh threw, and he went 21 for 35, 320, and a rushing touchdown as well.
Yeah.
Another guy that we need to talk about is Anthony Richardson. The efficiency wasn't there, but second half giving them a chance to win, I think was something, if you're a Colts fan, was great to see and great to watch.
If you're a Colts fan, you are just, it's sky's the limit. It's a Cam Newton wouldn't say steroid. It's Cam Newton with a higher ceiling, I think. He's twitchy. I didn't think he was this intelligent. I didn't think he was this accurate either. I mean, he makes some silly throws here and there, but there was a couple throws that he made that were just dropped or just barely off target. But oh man, is this kid legit? They were down 23-0, and they didn't worry. He didn't sulk in the corner, and
the resiliency was there, which was nice.
They fought back, and folks, I had the Rams. At Pick'em with one of my best plays. We had a 23-0 lead, and then the Rams missed a couple field goals, and the offensive line wasn't protecting quite as well, and Stafford started to get knocked down here and there come the Colts, and Anthony Richardson made some huge plays on the stretch. That was awesome to see. And if they get tight, if Taylor, I don't know what the deal is with this. I haven't dug deep into that, but I don't think they're trading him. I think he's going to stick. I mean,
no, he plans on staying.
can you imagine the RPO, the run option with Taylor in this offense now?
Oh, it's
in downs. They found something with downs. If you're a fantasy guy or props better, downs on the inside. That prop will be around 2 or 3 every week right now. That's one to look forward to betting.
Another guy that bounced back, Justin Fields.
Yeah,
lit the sky on fire. 28 for 35, 335, and 4 touchdowns. He didn't get it done in the end.
And that's what matters most.
But
yeah,
from the previous week, we wanted to write this guy off.
Well, everybody did, of course. That's what we do. It's week to week. And he was great. He was great for 3 quarters. I had Denver -3. Wow, was that lucky? We pushed. Wow. They were up 28-7 with 4 minutes to go in the third quarter, and unfortunately, they just threw up all over themselves in the final. The fourth quarter is basically a separate game. It's a game within a game, and the fumble in the INT late was the backbreaker.
Do you think Chicago figured it out, or is Denver that bad?
No, it's a little bit of both. No, it's a little. Denver's defense is statistically, some people are saying it's one of the worst defenses since 1989. I think I saw a stat about that. So Denver's defense is that bad. Chicago's defense is that bad. So if you took the over in that game, that was an easy day for you. It's a good bet. Wish I did over-under sometimes. It looked like an easy one, but that was interesting. I think it was like what you just asked me. That was a little bit of both. Both defense were in Russell Wilson. He played well. Really, in the fourth quarter, he played really well when it mattered. So in the end, that's what got it done.
I think it had more to do with Denver, but that's just me. We'll see.
I think you could be right.
Baker Mayfield, 25 for 32, 240, and 3 tutties. Baker Mayfield just exceeding expectations week in and week out. I know we already spoke a little bit about how we feel that Tampa's the best team in this division. You think they're going to win this thing out, or how do you feel this is going to play out?
he looks like he looked the year he took Cleveland to the playoffs for the first time in how many years so far. This isn't an offensive-oriented team. It's not an offensive-minded head coach with, in there in Tampa. But so far, so good with Baker. He's not making the dumb, that just what are you doing, Baker type of play. They got the running game going a little bit. He's checking it down more to White. I like White out of the backfield. I really like that option. And Godwin has been fantastic, and Kate Otten has been a nice security blanket for him, at tight end. So I don't know. Everybody's saying this is Baker 2.0. I mean, but I'm a betting man. I'm not. I would bet against.
No way.
If I had, if I had to bet on it, I would say no. But I'm also, you got to be a little. Well, you got to. There's some hope.
There's some
there.
optimism, and I think
Yeah.
it's a fun story to watch.
Yeah.
Especially for the Tampa fans out there. There's some hope. We got a shot.
Yeah.
We got a chance.
Yeah. We kind of thought this was going to be. A lot of people thought we'd see Kyle Trask by now. I mean, in training camp, it was 50-50, Trask or Baker, and Baker ended up getting a nod, and Baker's made the best of it. And it seems like I like the way he looks in the press conferences. That tells me that he's matured a lot. Like just the way he's answering questions, the way he's dealing with the media.
He's taking this for real, like it's his
Yeah.
last kind of chance to make something for
I think
himself.
it is. This is his fourth team in 4 years. So I mean, he's been humbled. And this is what you got to do. You got to just go out there and play football the best you can, and utilize what you have around you and make the best of it. So far, so good.
They need this bye week too to get Evans back.
Oh
so
yeah,
that'll
that's
be
right.
that'll be nice to see.
Yeah, that will be big.
Yep.
That will be big.
Well, let's talk about some running backs that caught our attention. Bijan, I believe the torch has been passed. It's no longer Algiers' backfield or split backfield. It was never his to begin with, but now the torch has been passed. It's Bijan Robinson,
Absolutely.
and thank goodness, because that's about the only good thing that's happening in Atlanta.
It's it. It's Bijan and Bijan only. It's dinking and dunking. Arthur Smith has to. What is he doing with Desmond Ridder? We know if you have eyes and you watch those games, you have eyes. Desmond Ridder's not an NFL quarterback. He might be he's a backup quarterback, but he's not a starting quarterback in this league. And you got a guy like this. Their backup. Why am I having? Heineke.
Heineke, yeah.
Heineke. You have a guy like Heineke who's played in a playoff game against Tom Brady and played well in that playoff game. I don't understand why they haven't. I thought they were going to go to him after that second pick. After that second, those were two abysmal picks he threw in against the Jags last week. That cost his team the game, flat out. The defense played well enough to win, to not to say win that game, but to stay in that game and
To compete.
To compete.
Absolutely.
The only reason they've been in any game this year is because that defense is overachieving. The defense is playing very well, and it's not like they don't have skill people. They have Pitts was drafted 4th overall. London was drafted 8th overall. Now you got Robinson. Now you got another weapon in Algier. You have weapons.
Jonnu Smith.
Jonnu Smith is no. That's their second tight end, but I've always liked Jonnu Smith. I made a lot of money on props with Jonnu Smith in the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, back in 1997, or
no, back when he was with Tennessee. Last year didn't go so good. The Patriots paid a lot of money for him, and that kind of didn't go well. When they grabbed Hunter Smith, Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, they thought they would do the 12 personnel and go. That didn't work out. So, but that Jonnu Smith caught 6 catches for what, 78 yards, 78. This is I don't know what's going on. I think they might trade Kyle Pitts. I've been hearing that Dallas in Atlanta are talking on Kyle. On
I hope that happens.
Pitts.
Please.
I just don't know if
For all NFL fans out there, trade this guy so we can see him play.
I
Please.
know, but
Oh my goodness.
Dallas got rid of their. Dallas got.
Can I say please again? Please.
Go ahead. You can say it all you want because it's fun to watch. We haven't seen what kind of the ceiling on Kyle Pitts. He was a freak of nature. I mean, we're in the South. We're in Florida here. So Florida fans, my goodness, was him and Kadarius Toney and Kyle Trask and that. They were fun. It was one of the best talents coming out of the draft in a long time. Now, some of it could be Pitts. It's not. This doesn't mean it's all on the quarterback.
I think it is.
I don't, because he's not a blocking tight end. You can't use him in certain packages.
Just get him the ball. He's huge. Just get him the ball.
Yeah,
and he'll do the rest.
It's easier said than done. There's more to playing the position than just running around and catching the ball. So I don't know. We'll see. And Dallas likes Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson has been solid. I think he led the team in targets last week and catches. He's been solid. There's a reason they let what's his name go to Houston.
Dalton Schultz. Yeah.
Dalton Schultz go to Houston. I didn't like that when that happened, but they knew what they had in Jake Ferguson, and it's working.
Another guy that blew it up like he does, I feel like, every week, week in, week out, the most consistent person on the gridiron, CMC, Christian McCaffrey. 20 for 106, 3 touchdowns, 7 for 8, 71 yards and a touchdown through the air. This guy's unbelievable. I mean, we don't need to.
He came out of the womb ready to be an NFL running back. It's insane how good he is. How much wasted motion. That's what I like. I remember my coaches back in the day. Nate, stop running east and west. Run north and south. One cut, go forward. You know what I mean? And just you can line him up outside in the slot. You can line him up in the back. You can line him. He could probably play quarterback if you need.
He's so talented.
I literally believe he is the third string quarterback. I'm not joking. Like, he's just that talented. I mean, he grew up in a NFL family. I mean, it's just he knows the game like no other, and he's as talented as they come, as likable as they come, and good for you fantasy owners. Unfortunately, I haven't bet any props with CMC this year. Well, I don't know if you guys have noticed up on the board. You don't see many over 7 catches, over 80 yards. I look for the value and the.
Nate's pointing up at the screen, but if you're watching this, there's a screen behind us with all the picks that we pick each week.
Yeah.
Each week, which you can get on Patreon if you search for Grunt Squad. But yeah, back to what you were saying. It's
good plug.
Yeah. So it's finding the value in CMC, because the ceiling is so high and because he's been so consistent. By the way, 13 games in a row with a touchdown.
Yeah, and there's so many other options on that team too. That's what worries me in an offense like that, because they don't. CMC's fine with getting 8 running the ball 8 times and getting 42 yards with 3 catches and for 16 yards if it helps the team. You know what I mean? If Debo has a huge game, Kittle has a huge game, Ayuk he's fine with that. That's the way that's why I don't target many guys in an offense like that. So
I don't think there is an offense like the San Francisco offense.
San Francisco's the best team in football without a doubt right now. Them and Buffalo, and then KC. I think KC and Buffalo are tied, but San Francisco at the top, best team in football, in my opinion. Wouldn't you agree? Most people would agree. Most people have them at the top of their power ratings, so I certainly do.
It's up for debate. But.
Then Philadelphia, and then Miami. But that's another discussion. I could talk for 2 hours on that, but go ahead.
Well, speaking of Miami, let's talk about Devon Achane. 8 for 101 and 2 touchdowns.
Why do you keep saying Achane?
Because that's how he pronounces his name, sir.
I don't like it. Achane.
I don't call you Nathaniel.
I prefer, it sounds smarter. I like that.
That's not true. I don't know.
You don't think so?
I don't think that's...
Actually, it's hard to make me sound smart, actually.
But yes, Devon Achane, getting out there and getting it done. Mostert fumbled twice, so he was on the field more, which to me, that hurt my soul.
It hurt me. I had one of my best bets. Mostert over 51 yards rushing. I thought that'd be an easy one versus Buffalo, but oh well. Achane's been just a nice little jolt to that offense.
He's been the best pickup fantasy wise, because he wasn't on most teams' lineups, Nate, in fantasy.
Before last week. This week I bet he was. How many more? What did the percentage go?
So last week it was 0.6%.
Yeah.
That he was if he was on your bench if you had him.
Right.
Because you weren't,
just deep leagues. Even
that, because you had other options.
Right.
You were going to play
But I want to know how much it went up from between the Denver game.
He was the most picked up option in
okay,
okay,
that's what I want to know.
and will be. That and Puka Nakua were the two biggest pickups. Kyron Williams is in that discussion too.
The guys, if you're doing this, the running back in Denver, Jameel McLaughlin.
One of those
rookie.
Yeah, I'm not.
No, I'm just saying that guy. I think he's a 7th-round pick out of Youngstown State, or undrafted out of Youngstown State. But Williams went down early. That was one of my bets. He got hurt. And McLaughlin, that kid, he
looked good.
He looked
really
real good. He's got a nice little burst, nice little first step, quick as a. I liked it.
Yeah,
that's why you wonder why running backs are crying to get paid so much outside of CMC and Derrick Henry and things like that. This is why, because you can find guys anywhere that you never know that can come in and just pop. You're like, whoa, where'd this guy come from?
No doubt.
A-Chain, we knew, we saw him. He played for a powerhouse in Texas A&M. So, but yeah,
I look at the long term though, just the way that his body type and everything. Like, I think as the season progresses, I think the wear and tear could end up being a thing, but I think that's something that we're just going to have to look at and monitor.
You talking about A-Chain?
Mm-hmm.
He actually looks bigger than I thought. Texas A&M. I don't know if he put on weight. He might have put on some weight. He had to put on at least 8 pounds, 10 pounds.
I mean, he's a rock, but he's he's small.
Yeah,
he's a smaller back.
But he looks thicker. Maybe it's the number, because last year he wore number 6 or 5 in college. Maybe it's the number, but he looks a little bit thicker than he did in college. Surprised me.
Yeah. Well, another one let's touch on. Josh Jacobs, 17 for 58 and a touchdown, 8 for 11. Finally was getting some usage back in.
Especially in the air. He had 7 catches, too.
That's kind of the only thing that really saved his stat line in that regard. Pacheco, there weren't a ton of things that you could say that were great about Kansas City's offense because there was inconsistency with Mahomes. But this was the most usage that he's gotten with 20 touches since week 12 of last year. I think they need to use him more. I know that you touched on that earlier. They need to utilize this guy. I mean, because he's good.
Andy Reid, for some reason, they gained 200 yards in the first quarter of that game, and then after that they were outplayed by the Jets overall. I believe Mahomes making some silly flick passes to seam routes with no-name wide receivers. I don't know what the heck he was thinking, but for some reason, Andy Reid gets away from the run when it's working. You see, this isn't the first time we've seen that happen. So, oh my goodness, it was driving me insane. But yeah, Pacheco's a stud. The offensive line actually hasn't been as good as it was last year. So that worries me a little bit. But they have something with this kid. I just wish they would have I wish he should have got 30 carries last week. That's what I was saying to you. We were talking about this earlier, and you said, well, he had 20 carries. That was his most. I'm like, I don't care. They had it going early, and they should have kept it going, and that would have set up some little bit of play action, some more plays downfield, because it felt like that Jets D knew when they were passing each time, and they were waiting for it. And sure enough, he should have had 3 picks. He had 2 picks. Should have had 3.
Yeah.
But man, oh man. I don't want that slide at the end of that game. Oh, my God.
Yeah, that upset a lot of people.
I still can't breathe.
It's a new week this week, buddy. It's a new week.
So that's 5-1-1 instead of 4-2-1 for us, but that's okay. At least we had Casey in the first half. We'll take it.
Absolutely. Let's talk about some wideouts that crushed it. A.J. Brown, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, Puka Nakua, J.J., all the guys that you expect at this point getting it done this week.
Yeah.
One that surprised us that was really fun to look at, which name was mentioned earlier, was Michael Wilson. 7 for 7, 76 yards, and 2 tutties. I'm telling you, this kid's good.
Love Michael Wilson. TJ Hushmanzada said it early on. He does a lot of camps and
you're talking about training camps and scouting and that sort of thing?
Yeah, they do these camps in the summer before the draft and things like that. And he said out of all the wide receivers coming out this year that Michael Wilson was his favorite. And sure enough, he's popped. I had him last week. Michael Wilson, yeah, It's over. I think it was only 25 yards receiving. So that was a nice one. I like the. He's just if you're a Stanford fan or a Pac-12 fan, you know who Michael Wilson was. Big body, big smart man, smart dude, great hands, agile as heck. Gets it done. They got some promise in Arizona, I'm telling you. Rondell Moore, I mean, he's a kind of you can kind of play him anywhere type of player. They got some promise there.
He's talented.
Arizona. He's talented.
Yeah, they both are. Let's talk about some things that weren't as good to watch. This one hurts, but I've been pounding the table for weeks.
What?
Well, Derek Carr, buddy.
Oh, we said it last week, and you're right. I'm done. That's it. Derek Carr, you stink.
Bring in Jameis.
You stink.
Bring him in.
Jameis has to play. It's it. I've had it.
I want
How?
the crab legs.
How, folks? I had Alvin Kamara over 2 receptions. One of my favorite plays of the week. He had 13 receptions for
33 yards?
33.
As in 33, not
30
303.
No, 33 yards, which is
133. No, 33.
yeah, that broke the record
Yeah.
for
For that many
yards-
receptions.
yards per catch.
Yeah, is bad. Very, very bad.
Derek Carr cares about his stats. Derek Carr cares about his completion percentage. He doesn't want to be the guy that, hey, it wasn't on me. And listen, like, nobody in that Raiders locker room, I want to say nobody, but he wasn't liked. And I think this is why, because he's a smart guy. At the line of scrimmage, pre-snap, in the meetings, he's as good as anybody. But when it comes to executing on the field, it's hit or miss, and I've had enough of it. And this offense is too talented to just dinking and dunking it all day long when you have Olave and you have Michael Thomas and you have Johnson and you have now Alvin Kamara back and you have the new Rashid. How do you say his name?
Rashid Shaheed.
I'm not even going to try.
Say that fast.
I'm not even going to try to say that. But Shaheed, number 22, this kid, electric, 6th-round pick, 7th-round pick. They have, and the defense is arguably top 5 in the league when
I
it's
think it
playing
is
well.
for sure.
100%. Certainly one of the best corners in the league. One of the best, just when you just rush 4, one of the best in the league. This is too good of a roster to be wasted. Some of it could be Derek Carr got paid so much. I don't know how Derek Carr had like his pick of the litter this offseason. It was like Peyton Manning. He's not Peyton Manning. Like he had his choice to go wherever he wanted. Give me a break.
He was literally your baseline
Give
for
me
what an average quarterback looks like.
Break. But they paid him so much money. So in these situations, owners step in. This is where owners step in or whoever's, and they say, nope, you're playing Derek Carr. I'm paying him too much money. I'm not, I don't. The best teams don't care about that stuff.
Football, please.
Yes. Or Taysom Hill. I don't
Jameis the
know.
football.
And don't tell me it was the AC joint because he threw a ball 72 yards in the air to Chris Olave.
I think it had something to
was
do with
fine.
it. It's not like he threw 30 balls that far. He just threw the one that was over 20.
Yeah.
So, I think it had something to do with it. That being said, I think the Saints, and I'll say this again, they have their best shot winning this division with Jameis behind the center.
I agree.
That's what they need to do. That's how I feel.
Did not agree last week. Well, I was on the fence, but I officially agree. And I apologize to all the Raiders fans on Twitter the last 8 years that I have just, oh my goodness, bashing Derek Carr. I stuck up for Derek Carr for so long. I apologize to all of you. I was dead wrong. I don't know what happened to him, but he had promised. There was some big. It looked like a little Aaron Rodgers. It did.
No.
It looked like a mini Aaron Rodgers at first back in 2017, 2018. The way the ball come out of his hand, the way the confidence he was playing with, just it looked. That's what Devontae Adams called him, little A-R.
Yeah.
Little A-Rod, he'd call him.
Agree to disagree on that one. But let's talk about the situation in Cincinnati because this is a red alert. This is a real thing.
Yep.
This is a team that had Super Bowl aspirations. Now they're staring in the face at missing the playoffs. That's the most likely outcome at this point. If you're the coach, the GM, the guy that's running this team, what are you doing with Joe Burrow at this point? Do you look at the long-term picture and say, "Hey, we need this is our guy. This is our franchise guy. This is the face of the franchise. He needs to be sat down. He needs to get healthy. Otherwise, talk about some major long-term implications, injury-wise, all of that. What's your take on that?
Well, they paid him a lot of money not long ago. They just gave him what, 300 mil. So that's some of it. I think that's some of it for him, trying to gut it out, trying to stick it out, trying to be tough.
Oh, he wants to win. There's no question.
Yeah, I mean Jake Browning is an option. He looked good. He looked good in the preseason. So if they can get a win this week, I think maybe they have a 15% chance, 10% chance of making a run late, but it's not good.
I mean, I think if
Good.
they can split the next two games, if they can get a win either with Arizona or Seattle,
Yeah.
go into the bye, get everybody healthy. I mean, this is what I feel because I'm a Louisiana guy. I'm an LSU fan, so I'm watching Burrow. Jamar Chase, my guys out there.
He's one of the best. He's one of the best in the world.
I
and
think
it's too
they
bad.
should sit him for 3 weeks. 2 weeks in the bye, get everybody healthy, and then come out swinging.
I think I get behind that, but either way, I feel like this might be one of my picks this week because of the urgency.
Well, let's get right into that actually, because that's our next segment. Your top picks for this week: Cincinnati, Arizona. You like the Cincy side at -3, but really you like the money line, as you mentioned earlier.
If I do attack this game, it will be for a couple units on the money line because you're going to be laying -160, -180. I said if it was below -200, I would probably bet the money line on this. But it's not in stone. But that's where I'm looking
Because this is a must-win.
It's just urgency, 100%. It's urgency, and if they get it together, man for man, they can. It shouldn't be an issue beating Arizona. It shouldn't be an issue. If Joe Burrow, maybe he's getting healthier as the week goes on. I wish I knew, but I don't. Unfortunately, we don't know everything. So that's just something on the edge of my mind right now.
Well, let's talk about one that you really like, which is San Francisco against Dallas. San Fran -3.
Absolutely, it's up to 3.5, even up to 4 in some places, but I still like it at -4. And this is San Francisco team, like I've already touched on. This is the best team in the National Football League, top to bottom, coach, player, quarterback, A+. Even skill people, CMC, IU, Kittle, all the above, Debo, and Dallas is no spring. Dallas is no slouch. As far as yards and yards per play and all that stuff us handicappers look at, everything is pretty similar. But there's one thing that sticks out a big time to me, and that's the rushing yards giving up per game. And that's 447 Dallas is giving up at 4.6 yards a clip. And San Fran's only giving up 264 at just under 3 yards per clip. So that's the stat that sticks out the most, and why that's just why I like San Francisco. And it's like I said, quarterback. I mean, it's crazy that 2 years ago or a year ago, you would say Brock Purdy or Dak Prescott, and you're going to say Brock Purdy every day of the week, right? I mean, I do at least. I just like his decision making and just the little details.
I think Shanahan just puts him in a situation to succeed.
Yeah.
And scheme wise, I think, and matchup wise, there's a lot of things that are complementary. But I think they have so many ways to beat you.
Yeah,
so many ways.
And Dallas.
You take one guy out, they got 3 more others. They could beat you with Debo. They could beat you with Ayuk. They could beat you with Kittle. They could beat you with CMC.
Yep.
Take your pick, man. You want to take one out? That's all right. I got 3 more.
I know. That's
unreal.
That's what I like. And even though Dallas, with Pollard and Lamb, and now with Michael Gallup coming back,
Brandon Cooks is still a thing too.
Yeah,
I know he hasn't really been implemented yet, but he still has the talent.
I just like the matchup simply because of the coaching. I mean, I'm gonna take San Francisco in this game 100 out of 100 times, and simply because it's a chess match. These games are won in the meetings in the preparation before the games. These games are won, and that, players have to execute too. Don't get me wrong, but you're gonna say Shanahan or McCarthy in a chess match. Who are you taking in a football game?
It's pretty easy.
It's not 2008 anymore. And Kyle Shanahan. I mean, Mike McCarthy. Don't get me wrong. He's not. He's doing better than I thought. I'm not sure how much of it's because of Mike McCarthy, but he's doing better than I thought. So we'll see. But I'm not. I'm never in this situation. And Dallas is. Dak has been, I think, 56% in the air.
Yeah,
the last two
somewhere in there.
Last two
Yep.
games versus San Francisco. So and Dallas just came off a huge win. I mean, you go and set a record versus Bill Belichick. That's the most points Bill Belichick's ever.
It's a statement.
Never been. That's the
Yeah.
most points he's ever been down at half. That's the most points he's ever lost by. That's a high for Dallas. So situationally, that's also a good spot for San Francisco. So I like it. I like it. I just hope they just stay back. If they're balanced and play their game, they should win this by a touchdown at least.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Well, let's talk about your final one that you like. That's Kansas City against Minnesota.
Yep. This is simple. This is simple. I mean, Kansas City. They won last week, but it wasn't easy. Mahomes didn't look. What bothers me is if Josh Allen had a game like that, or if Burrow had other guys had games like that, they're getting crushed, right? But for some reason, Mahomes doesn't get that. But that's just how the world works, right?
Why they find a way to win?
Yeah, they did. But what I like the most is Bolton. Their stud linebacker, their best defensive player, Bolton, will be back this week. And don't get me wrong, Minnesota can score with anybody. They're up there in every category in offense. But Kansas City's also up there in those categories. And when Kansas City has a good defense, Minnesota doesn't. And what Minnesota does the most is blitz. Brian Flores loves to bring the house, loves the blitz. And nobody is better in the football than Patrick Mahomes against the blitz and Andy Reid against the blitz. Now, don't get me wrong. I know Brian Flores is he's gonna understand that. He's gonna have some wrinkles in there. Try to fool him. But good luck. Okay. You got to give me a KC versus Minnesota. And
That's minus. They're getting -5,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
KC minus 5.
a key number. We got 3 key numbers in football: 3, 6, 7. Okay, this is under 6. As long as it's under 6, I like it. It might even go first half too. We'll see. They will be listed. All my plays will be listed on Patreon again. It's only $10, guys. You look up. You go on Patreon. Go to Grunt Squad. You get all my plays, and you support us for only $10 right now. So take advantage of it. We've yet to have a losing week. Take advantage of it. Let's get it going. Come on, win with me.
Well, that's
Why
gonna
not?
Absolutely,
Come on,
absolutely. Ride the wave with
I
us.
love you all.
We continue to crush it week in and week out and have a good time doing it. That's going to wrap it up for this week. Again, as Nate mentioned, patreon.com, search for us, Grunt Squad. That's how you can support Nate and myself so that we can continue to do what we do, have fun doing it. And picks will be there for all of the games. The schedule's listed on Patreon if you want to look at that. But until next week, y'all, thank you so much. We appreciate.
I want to touch on one thing. Yeah, the Patreon thing. Like, props don't come out till Friday, Saturday. So most of my props will be out by Saturday morning. I will try to have game bets out by Thursday night. That's what I'm going to try to do going forward.
Perfect.
There might be a couple game bets that come out a little bit later, but that's what I'm going to try to do going forward. But other than that, Sandman, we got 3 in the books. That was fun. And let's get it done and have another winning week this week.
Let's do it.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys.